technical difficulties once in a while.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. My name is Ty Metzer, Chair of the Board. We have to my left Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards, and to my right Commissioner Carolina Mejia, as well as our County Manager Ramiro Chavez, our Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, and our Clerk of the Board Amy Davis. This meeting is also being live streamed through our county YouTube channel. Calling this meeting to order here at 2:02 p.m. And we will begin with Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Mejia.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd also like to start today with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge the indigenous Salish peoples who have lived on and cared for the land of this county and waterways of this county since time immemorial, and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. At this point, I would contemplate a motion regarding the proposed agenda for today's meeting.
Yes, sir. I would move to approve the agenda for today, Tuesday, July 20th, 2021.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda approved. Is there a motion regarding board meeting minutes from June 29th?
Yes, sir. I'd move to approve the board meeting minutes from June 29th, 2021.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Board meeting minutes approved from June 29th, 2021. Next is opportunity for the public to address the board. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes comment from the public at all formal board meetings. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact most meetings are televised. General speaking guidelines include when you're called, and I'll call two at a time so you'll know who's on deck. Please come to the podium, introduce yourself, including the area of the county in which you reside for the record. Address the board, not audience or staff. Silence your cell phones before approaching the podium, and that would be a good idea in the boardroom in general. The board will not respond directly to public comment, but on an as-needed basis, the county manager will follow up with specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board and may not donate that time to any other speaker or a portion of that time. The board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the board for good cause. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind or comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. Remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal are not permitted. And finally, all materials provided to the county may be considered public records and subject to public release upon request pursuant to Chapter 4256 RCW, the Public Records Act. Okay, thank you for cooperation on that. The first speaker will be Lake Stinson, and Larry Weaver will be on deck.
Hi, my name is Lake Stinson. I live on Black Lake, and I'm also a member of the Black Lake Special District. I want to thank the board for their assistance with our bond last fall. The issuance of the bond gave us the funds necessary for the alum treatment of the lake. The results have been very, very good. I'm here to talk about a recent pollutant and nutrients survey that we completed. 2 years ago, we hired Herrera Environmental Consultants to conduct an in-depth survey of pollutants and nutrients entering the lake. We wanted to find out what we were dealing with and what corrections could be made. We certainly understand that dealing with nutrients and pollutants before they enter the lake is far easier and far less expensive to deal with. 15 streams entering the lake were sampled in both wet and dry conditions. In addition, the entire lake shoreline was examined for the presence of optical brighteners, their presence being an indicator of septic issues. We were pleased with the survey results. The shoreline examination did not show septic issues. Of the 15 streams sampled, only 3 showed consistent high pollution levels. The pollution was fecal coliform. DNA analysis indicated that the source was human. We sent the final survey report to Environmental Health and requested assistance in addressing these 3 streams. We have been informed that resources are not available and a grant application to the Department of Ecology is needed. The earliest funds might be available would be a year from now. It's quite a disappointment for us. We then asked if in the interim signage could be posted to these streams warning people of the pollution. Here's an example. This is from Kitsap County. Kitsap County has a very robust pollution identification and correction program, and we just happened to pick this up from their site. Environmental Health is looking into the possibility of signage. At this time, they have no protocol for the warning signs at streams. We think the signage might cause some homeowners near the streams to start checking their systems, self-check. We think families with children living close to these streams would greatly appreciate knowing the stream dangers. Thank you very much.
Larry Weaver's up. John Pettit's on deck.
Commissioners, my name is Larry Weaver. I'm at 9917 Highway 12 in Rochester. I'm in the business of providing housing, mainly around the South County area. I've been doing that since 1974. I came before the Board of County Commissioners in the mid-1990s, different board, of course, regarding impact fees proposed on a project I was doing in Rochester. The Growth Management Board at that time had given the Rochester School District the opportunity, but not mandate, to charge fees. The Rochester School Board and had given Superintendent Gil Holt at the time instructions that they didn't need the fees, had no way to administer the fees, and they didn't want to impact housing costs. I, Gil Holt, the superintendent, and several other Rochester residents, including some on the school board, testified at that time against the impact fees. That county commissioner board at that time decided, in direct contrast to the Rochester School District, that the school district would charge impact fees. And in the commissioner's view, if those fees weren't set high enough, the county commissioners would set the fees at a level that they felt appropriate. The fees were then paid. I paid the fees under an agreement that if they were not used within 5 years, they would be refunded back. Well, of course, the fees were used. Money will always find a way to be spent if it's made available. So recently, a gym in Rochester was to be replaced with a daycare, and dramatically high traffic impact fees were to be assessed. It's kind of hard to envision that a daycare would have a dramatic more impact than a daily use gym. And then it was also discovered that the impact fees in Rochester were considerably higher than the fees, traffic impact fees for similar uses in other areas of Thurston County. It's been recently pointed out to me that all of the traffic impact fees collected in South County, only about 50% of those fees were spent in South County, and this seems in direct contrast to the RCW. If it's being collected locally, it's to be spent locally. And I'll give another example. There are fees being assessed right now towards a new traffic project in Grand Mound, the roundabout. So there's traffic impact fees. There's going to be assessed to many of the properties right around that Grand Mound area towards that roundabout. But I suggest that if only 50% of the traffic impact fees collected in South County are currently being used in South County, why are we assessing additional fees towards the traffic impacts that are occurring in the Grand Mound area? I would like to ask the commissioners consider one of two things. Either we redirect some of the funds that should have been spent in South County already towards that particular project, or the other projects in there, spend all of the fees that, as per RCW, should be spent locally, or in the alternative, let's eliminate the traffic impact fees or down to a level where they're actually being spent. So I would encourage the commissioners to visit the traffic impact fees, in fact, all the impact fees being charged in South Thurston County, and consider reducing or eliminating some of them altogether. Thank you for listening.
John Pettit's next. Johanna's on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Pettit from the Rich Road area. I actually have multiple topics to talk about, and with 4 minutes, that gives me a little chance to hit a couple. One of the things, and you didn't mention no electioneering, and I'm not electioneering, but I did want to bring it to the board's attention that the process of a proposition, an ordinance for allowing a proposition requires a public hearing. And you cannot just repeal one and create a brand new ordinance. If you had chose to want to change an ordinance, you might have wanted to amend it. But currently, as I read it, there is blatant violation of the Medic 1 levy that's being presented because, well, you were running out of time when you were afraid you weren't going to get it on the ballot in time. Due process doesn't involve breaking the law so you can get what you want within your time frame. Due process means you actually have the process. Yes, there was some different changes in the new ordinance that was not addressed in the April 13th hearing. And so that's going to be a question. If it passes, there may be some other further action related to it. More important, I think you need to find out who from your legal staff formally said and what exact explanation they have for how that was supposedly an acceptable practice. The next point I'm going to talk about briefly is the transportation fees, impact fees. You basically, because you collect from every house that's located, and then you collect from any new business that's located, and then you collect from the other business that might be new business located, you're triple collecting for the same people, the impact of the same people. Essentially, the fees become a means just to extract money out of people as opposed to necessarily need. Now, just a thought just came up to me about a gym being made into a daycare. Well, the facility had already been built. So I don't know why there'd be any impact fee on a previously built facility unless you're now assessing it to individual businesses instead of actual buildings being built. If the square footage is already established, I don't think there should actually be a fee involved. That needs to be addressed. Is this a new licensing means to extract funds out of people? The third thing I'm going to deal with, I have just a short time, is you're already aware, the Board of County Commissioners is already aware that I have chose to appeal some decisions that you have made to the Superior Court. It has to do with the budget amendment and Appendix G that you recently passed. The appeal should not be considered litigation against the commissioners. It's not. This is a legal process that's created by state law for the review by a superior authority as to whether you followed state law or not. There really isn't even a spot for you to argue one way or the other. The law is clear, A, B, C. If you didn't follow A, B, C, the judge has the opportunity to go ahead and nullify whatever you did. Now, in short, I know not this week, next week you're planning on potentially creating a fund for a rainy day fund of a spot. Well, I'm going to suggest you don't do that. That's another illegal appropriation. if it was not appropriated in the budget you approved in 2020 in December, it's not an appropriation, and that would make it an illegal appropriation unless you found new, I say this again, new, unanticipated forms of revenue. That hasn't happened. So we will be talking much more about this. Give real strong thought as to where you go with things. Thank you.
Mr. Hanna, followed by Mr. Moe.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Joe Hanna, East Olympia farmer, Rainier Valley Wagyu. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. As it is on your agenda today, I will say please support and vote for Glenn Shorno for the Agriculture Advisory Committee. He is the candidate of the two that can hit the floor running and provide valuable insight and advice to you as the county commissioners related to agriculture in our great county. The other candidate, in her own words, wants to learn, and although likely can provide you with valuable insight into what she is an expert in, I do not believe that is agriculture. I would like to acknowledge Commissioner Mintzer for reaching out to the WSU Extension agent for his latest coffee with the commissioners. I hope Stephen was able to provide you with some valued insight and look forward to continuing that conversation when you meet with the Ag Advisory Committee in a couple weeks. We have lots of great things to tell you all about and look forward to being able to go more in depth with a couple topics at that meeting. Specifically, I will be speaking more about the need and very timely opportunity to hopefully get the funding for and be part of bringing a USDA processing facility to our region. This has the potential to not only provide a resource that has been identified as very highly needed, but as a future resource for jobs and an increased tax base. There are a lot of really great things that we will brief you on further on related to this, that in my opinion makes it an easy sell. One of the examples Stephen gave related to ag was the cost of supplies as related to agriculture in the county. I sent an example of the cost of corn to you yesterday, just to show you how much it has increased. Another example Stephen gave was the supply chain slowdowns and not being able to get timely processing dates for livestock. We're still 8 to 9 months out to get a beef cut and wrapped under custom exempt rules. I know of farmers that are making appointments to have hogs processed that haven't even been born yet. When you try to plan a processing date as a high-end meat producer and they continually get backed up, this does nothing but increase the cost to produce the animals. As an example, it costs me around $3 per day per head to feed animals this time of year. When you suddenly have to add months of feed because processing dates are unpredictable at best, the margin gets very iffy. Our costs don't do anything but go up during the winters. Continue to support agriculture in our great county. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moe, followed by Ms. Dilworth. Oh, sorry about that. Yep, Ms. Dilworth, you're up.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I come today with compassion, and compassion because we're at a time in our world where everything is different than what it was yesterday. Nothing is the same. What we fight, where we are, how we have to relate to each other is completely different. And so with compassion, we need to look at each other. We need to really look at the things we do to each other and put each other through on a daily basis and see where we can make changes. It is within your power to reevaluate every single day that you can the impacts that are made on this county and the people that live in this county. You all have heard our story out off of Delphi, our fight to build our dream home out there. And it has literally been a fight. That's not what this world should be. That's not what you should represent. I hear nothing but support and people with years and years of knowledge coming to you every single Tuesday to give you their knowledge, help you learn about the history of this county and why we are where we are. I would implore you to take that information, Use your resources that come before you every day and validate them. I have brought you scenarios of your staff charging fees. No legal bias to charge those fees, but they charged them. And the only time that it was removed was when I brought it forward and demanded that it be removed. That's not okay. You can control that, and you should. As decent humans, as our elected officials, you should. Please take the time. Please look back, and please use your resources. Thank you for your time today.
Okay. This covers everybody, I think. I don't see anybody online who's not county staff. So thank you. And let's go to county manager's update.
I don't have any specific update. I need to follow up to the comment from Mr. Hanna last week. I was not here. I did listen to that testimony, and I'm planning to follow up next week on some of the budget reduction comments that he made related to 4-H. And I have a couple of follow-up comments as of today, so I will follow up those next week.
Okay, great. Then we'll go to the consent agenda. Is any requests to pull items from the 4 proposed consent agenda items?
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to approve consent items A through D.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent items 3A through D are approved. Brings us to department items. 4A is an appointment to the Agriculture Advisory Committee.
You're up. Maybe I can cover that, Commissioners, for your consideration. Normally the appointments to the any advisory board and commission the board approves is done in a consent agenda. This particular appointment is for consideration to appoint Ms. Ms Mcgee to the Agricultural Advisory Committee for the term of July 13, 2021 to July 13, 2023. I believe Mr. Hanna's testimony today was related to the other candidate, related to this particular appointment. The board had many discussions related to this appointment in the last couple of weeks. And as a result of those conversations, the board requested to have this as a department item for you to exercise your individual vote related to this appointment.
Okay. Any questions regarding this?
On 4A?
Yeah, 4A.
Yeah, I'd just like to take this opportunity that I feel, I know we're dealing with a democratic process, but I feel that Mr. Charno met and exceeded all of the qualifications, and he was also recommended through the advisory committee. So for that reason, I asked this be placed on this vote for today.
Okay. Is there a comment or motion?
I'll make a comment on why I'm going with Ms. Mcgee. So this article is from the Land Policy Towards More Equitable Farming Future. It's from the National Young Farmers Coalition. And this article was just recently, or this study was just recently released. And it says, each new publication from the USDA shows that farmers are aging. There are less acres in agriculture. More land is lost to development. An increasing share of agricultural land is owned by non-farmers. I think this is what we've been hearing from our Ag Advisory Committee this whole time. But it also says, these trends are exacerbated in Black and Indigenous communities, which have experienced disproportionately high rates of land loss and dispossession. So I saw the interviews between Ms. Mcgee and also Mr. Shorno. I believe Mr. Shorno is highly qualified. This is nothing against him. And I invite him to apply further in the future when there is an opening. Just with what Ms. Mcgee is bringing right now, I believe her experience, and just the diversity she brings, not only in matters of race, but also in matters of urban farming and micro farming, I think will be a great addition.
Okay. Yeah, we had 3 candidates for this slot. Per the Ag Advisory Committee, 2 of them were viable. In fact, they were split on which one was the right one. I heard Mr. Stephen Brownwell said it was 5-4. Somebody else said it was 4-2 to 1. In any case, there were multiple members who disagreed. This board has committed to increasing diversity in all levels of county government, and for that reason, as well as some of the things Commissioner Mejia alluded to, again, difficult decision, and I would definitely consider Mr. Shorno for any future openings, but I'd like to see Ms. Mcgee have the opportunity to serve. So with that, is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to appoint Mercy Karaoke McGee to the Agriculture Advisory Committee for the term of July 13th, 2021 to July 13th, 2023.
I second. And any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye. Motion carries 2-1. Item 5 is Emergency Services Fiscal Year 2019 Pre-Disaster Mitigation Competitive Grant Program. Kurt Hardin is here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kurt Hardin, Director of Thurston County Emergency Services. Thurston County applied for a pre-disaster mitigation grant in 2019 to update the Thurston Region Hazard Mitigation Plan. This update will be the 4th edition of the Hazards Mitigation Plan for the Thurston region. It is a multi-jurisdictional process to develop a mitigation strategy to reduce the risks of the destructive hazards that threaten the region. This is a FEMA-required plan that is updated every 5 years in order to be eligible for grants or to receive aid through FEMA's hazard mitigation assistance and public assistance programs. Earthquakes, landslides, severe storms, floods, wildland fires, volcanic events, and other less common hazards can cause lengthy disruptions and are costly to communities, the state, and the federal government. Hazard mitigation breaks the disaster cycle by identifying and implementing sustained actions that eliminate long-term risk to life and property. The total project cost is $222,149.30. The grant funds 75% of the total cost, which is $166,611.08. And Thurston County has a required match of 25%, which is $55,538.22. The Thurston County match includes work that was done by Thurston Regional Planning Council in preparing the original grant application. The remaining portion of the match is in kind using Thurston County Emergency Management staff time, as well as time from others working on the plan from other county departments and regional partners. The task for staff time will be plan development and coordination, public engagement, and grant administration. No additional county general funds are needed for the match. Subject to your questions, concludes my presentation.
Questions for Kurt?
No, sir.
No, sir. We've discussed it a bunch. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kurt. Is there a motion?
Yes. I would move to approve the federal fiscal year 2019 pre-disaster mitigation grant. That's PDMC-PL-10-WA-2019-012 for the period May 1st, 2021 through April 30th, 2024 for a total of $222,149.30, and authorize the Director of Emergency Services to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. No further discussion, I presume? Sure. Call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good to go. Okay, item 6 is Public Health and Social Services. We have 2 related, am I right, Romero? These are the 2 related items. One is money in and one is money out for developmental disabilities. So item 6A is Department of Social and Health Services, Developmental Disabilities Administration County Program Agreement, number 1769 CS63. Annalise Cole from Social Services Program Specialist is here from Public Health. And you can introduce this topic for us, Annalise. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Commissioners and Romero. As mentioned, my name is Annalisa Cole. I'm the Interim Social Service Manager for the Developmental Disabilities Department. As discussed and as summarized, we do have two related topics. The very first of them is the Public Health and Social Services Developmental Disabilities Annual Contract with DSHS. This contract has been issued in the amount of $5,525,398. This funding is primarily dedicated for and used to support adults with developmental disabilities in obtaining and maintaining employment, engaging in community inclusion services, to support high school transition students, aged 18 to 21, in connecting with community resources, developing a plan for success after graduation, and in obtaining employment to increase post-graduation outcomes. This funding is also utilized to support programs and services that support and enhance programs that are available for individuals with developmental disabilities in Thurston and Mason County. Supported programs and activities include technical training and development of professionals supporting these individuals, individualized support services with substantial needs, information and educational events for community members and stakeholders, and community-based services that help with transportation, finances, and a myriad of other supports. We are requesting board approval for the Thurston Mason Developmental Disabilities Contract with DDA for fiscal year 2021, and also request authorization for our Division Director, Shelley Slaughter, to sign this agreement, as well as any contract amendments that do not change the duration of the amount of funding by more than 10%.
Questions for Annalisa?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the county program agreement number 1769CS-63 between Thurston County and the Washington State Department of Social and Health Services Developmental Disabilities Administration in the amount of $5,525,398 for the period of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign this agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, and call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer?
Aye. Motion carries. 6A is approved. Let's go to 6B. And this is professional services agreements for supported employment, high school transition, job foundation, and community inclusion services. Annalisa,
Yes.
again.
Thank you so much. So as you mentioned, these are related topics. As you mentioned exactly and summarized it perfectly, it is money in, money out. So what we would be doing with that $5 million is that we are requesting the board to approve our provider contracts. The contract template that has been submitted for review by the board is the Public Health and Social Services Developmental Disabilities Department annual contract with our 5 local agencies that provide contracted employment, community inclusion, and high school transition services, including School to Work and the Job Foundation programs. This contract has been reviewed and approved by the County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, the county's Risk Management Department, and the fiscal and contract units of Public Health and Social Services. The proposed contract will be entered with 5 state contracted providers, including Morningside, Bodice, CenterForce, CareerQuest, and Exceptional Foresters. These agencies are required to adhere to the strict contractual requirements of Thurston Mason Developmental Disabilities Department, DDA, and are required to reestablish accreditation through DVR every 2 years and submit to a biannual audit by the Developmental Disabilities Department. We are requesting board approval for the Thurston Mason County Developmental Disabilities Department contracts with Morningside, Bodice, CenterForce, CareerQuest, and Exceptional Foresters, Inc. for fiscal year 2021, and also request authorization of our Division Director, Shelley Slaughter, to sign this agreement, as well as any contract amendments that do not change the duration or amount of funding by more than 10%.
Questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, ready for a motion?
I would move to approve Thurston Mason County Developmental Disabilities Professional Services Agreements with CareerQuest, CenterForce, Exceptional Foresters, Incorporated, EFI, Morningside, and Vidales, VADIS, to provide supported employment, high school transition, job foundations, and community inclusion services for the period of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, and to authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign these agreements in any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Annalisa.
Thank you all for your time.
Brings us to item 7, starts with commissioners' reports on any work sessions, community meetings, or community events. Commissioner Mejia.
I was pretty busy yesterday, but I'm happy to report at the commissioners' check-in this week.
Okay, good. Commissioner Edwards, anything?
Nothing of major note. Transportation Policy Board, ORCA, Fire Commissioners, Thurston Mason, Behavioral Health, and I assume you'll give a better report on that. So I'll let it go at that. Thank you.
Okay, well, I had a few things other than committee assignments. As Mr. Hanna pointed out, we did a program yesterday about agricultural programs featuring Stephen Bramwell, the Washington State University Extension, and Aslan Mead of the Economic Development Council. And I was able to, we were trying to do a few things. One is talk about programs that are going on, how those some of those programs got kind of jump-started in an odd way by the COVID-19 pandemic, and then where those programs are headed, where the needs are, what the vision is for agriculture in Thurston County, and how we think we're going to get from here to there. So it was a pretty interesting conversation, and it was live streamed, but it can also be watched, recorded. Coffee with a Commissioner is the name of the show. I think we each do one each month, so I think Commissioner Edwards is coming up soon. I got a chance to meet the new Criminal Justice Regional Program Manager, Leah Landon. That was exciting to get to see her here and kind of what she's got on her plate here, and so that was good. Had a chance to tour some conservation projects that are happening on the west side of Olympia, and get a sense of what the vision is for some projects going on over there, and that was good to see on West Bay and other places. And had a conversation with one of the young gentlemen who was involved in the micro shelter project downtown, what their next steps are and what other ways they think they can plug into our needs here in Thurston County with respect to temporary transitional housing. So that was a good conversation. I think I'll leave it at that, and we'll go to the county manager reviewing our combined schedule.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me walk you through the upcoming week on your combined schedule, where at least 2 commissioners will be present and in attendance. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report. Beginning here at 3 in the afternoon, in a few minutes, you will have 2 public hearings. The first one is related to the commercial property Assess Clean Energy and Resilience, also known as CPACER. Following to that public hearing, you will have the second public hearing related to implementing compression brake restrictions on a couple of county roadways. Wednesday, July 21st, 9 in the morning to just about 11:30, you have a capital improvement plan, the annual update. And then you will have a break from 11:30 to 1, where you will be attending the Thurston County Chamber July Forum that is going to be located at the Hotel RL, 2301 Evergreen Parkway Drive, Southwest here in Olympia. And that will take you just about 1 in the afternoon. You'll be back here from 1 to 2:30 to continue the conversation on the Capital Improvement Plan annual update. At 2:30 is the annual briefing related to the Transportation Improvement Program from Public Works. Thursday, July 22nd, 9 in the morning, you will have a budget work session. This particular budget work session will be specifically related to the Board of County Commissioners, and Robin Campbell, the Assistant County Manager, will be sending you an email later today. I'll encourage you to read that, because the intent of this work session is to start getting some budget priorities from the individual commissioners in preparation to the 2022-2023 biennial budget. Following up to the 10 o'clock, the commissioners check-in. An agenda will be posted 24 hours in advance. And at noon, you have a joint meeting with the Port of Olympia Commission, and this is related to their proposed initiative to put in the ballot measure, a ballot in front of the voters this November for the voters to consider a 5-district commission for the Port of Olympia. And that will give an opportunity for the Board of County Commissioners to have a coordinating meeting with the Port of Olympia Commission. 3 in the afternoon, you have been invited to participate at the Hootie Nanny Economic Courage Awards, and that is going to be located the 4220 6th Avenue Southeast in Lacey, and that is sponsored by the Economic Development Council, EDC. And I believe Commissioner Messick has a specific spot on that agenda. July 23rd, at 1 in the afternoon, we have our annual Board of County Commissioners staff retreat, where we will have some strategic thinking as to how we like to move as an office in the upcoming year. And that's going to be located at Priest Point Park, Rose Garden Shelter, located at 2600 East Bay Drive Northeast in Olympia. Moving on to next week, July 26th, at noon, you have your standing Washington State Association of Counties Virtual Assembly. And then you will convene back here on Tuesday, July 27 at 9 in the morning, where you have your regular agenda setting. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, we're adjourned, back at 3 p.m. for our first public hearing on compression brakes.
Thank you.